Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today is Yom al Jumu'ah. I hope everyone had a good salah today. Alhamdulillah. And I hope the khutbah was beneficial. I want to reflect upon a little bit of my time in Cairo, Egypt. For the brothers who were blessed to be able to go there and study and spend some time, this will be a good memory. And then I'm going to bring it around full circle to something that is going on today. Every year in Cairo, there would be an Arabic book fair that would come into the country. And this book fair was traveling. It went all around the Middle East. And it was massive. I mean, a massive amount of books. I'm talking books from the floor to the ceiling, from wall to wall, buildings full of books. It was a lot of books. And I would go with some of the other brothers. Shout out to the brother Hamza up in Michigan and a few other brothers who took me to the book fair and sort of showed me around. But this book fair, there were several buildings full of books, and I'm talking Islamic books by scholars who were well known and scholars of old who were not well known, but apparently are iconic to those people who study this deen. There were volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes of books. Books would have 10, 20, 30, 40 volumes, thick books, heavy books, books you would need a dolly to carry all the volumes to your car. They would help you by putting them in these big plastic cases and then, putting them on a dolly. Books from Sheikh Al-Albani. He had an entire section of a building strictly for his books. Him alone. Sheikh Uthaymeen. And then many of the ancient, the old scholars. What dawned on me the most was the inaccessibility of the knowledge within those books for the average person, the average Muslim, especially in the West. You don't have access to those books if you can't read the language. Because of the lack of the ability to read the language, we in America were left to be fed a binary approach to Islam. What I mean by binary, either or, good or bad, black or white, with nothing in the middle. Halal, haram, that's it. Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Bid'ah, that's it. Everybody is a mubtadi'ah. If you're not upon what I'm upon, you're mubtadi'ah. When you see the amount of books, it is very humbling. And it really clarifies for the person the small amount of knowledge that you actually have. The small amount of knowledge that is being disseminated is very, very, very small. I mean, I could compare it to a pinch of pepper in a sea of salt. When you can actually visualize the amount of books and the buildings that all of these books filled up, that we just don't have access to it. Can't read it. So as a result, we have to sit and wait for our religion to be translated for us. We have to wait to be told this and that. Here in America, we have students of knowledge, brothers who have taken it upon themselves to go overseas and study. And I'm not going to relegate scholarship strictly to the universities, the Islamic universities. But we're going to also, encompass in that those who studied more traditional in the villages, in Mauritania, in Damaj in Yemen, in Al-Qahira, in Cairo, in, all of the various spots and places around the world that ilm is being disseminated in accordance with the Quran and the Sunnah. But these brothers have taken it upon themselves, taken that heavy burden to go overseas and study. I don't even know how to explain the path of talib al-ilm. Even for a beginner student, when you see the difference in students who go overseas to study versus people who are just self-taught here in America, and those who do not have the lugha and don't have the ability to read the language, how very limited we are in what we understand. And again, we're left to a very binary approach. We have been given that since forever, especially amongst the people who claim a salafiyya. You claim to be Salafi. If you go back, for those of you that are a little bit older, you go back to the 90s, and you all remember what happened in the 90s. QSS, the war between QSS and the split between Abu Usama al-Dhabi and Abu Muslima, and just that whole era. For those of you who were present, you know what I'm talking about. The division, the divorce, the broken up families, the infighting, all of that is what we dealt with in the 90s, and it was not good. It was not good. Again, I'll bring it back around. We lacked the knowledge, we lacked the skill in dealing with these situations. We are in 2020, October, and we still have some issues that pop up. Situations with people, situations with groups. And we have the youth who are not necessarily cultivated thoroughly, correctly, properly, who precede the elders, and they precede those people who came before them, who have dealt with these types of issues before, and they put that load on their back when they don't have to. When they can leave these issues to those people who are more qualified or more knowledgeable in handling these types of issues. There is a WhatsApp group that I am a member of. And in this group, it consists of, it's students of knowledge. There are imams. There are some who would be considered scholars in the group, as well as various professionals in various fields of study. And the purpose of the group is it's like a sort of a think tank type of situation. And shout out to those brothers who are working diligently to make this ummah better. In this group, we brainstorm on how to deal with various issues that are most salient to the Muslims as a whole. And then we look at some of the issues that are most salient to some of the more periphery and marginalized groups within the West. Within this group, it's international. It's brothers from Australia, brothers from in Saudi Arabia, brothers here in America, it's brothers in Southeast Asia. It's brothers from all over the place. And like I said, we come together and we try to think about some of these issues that affect the Ummah on the large scale, as well as some of those that are more specific to us in America or those in the West in general. One thing that came to my mind just this week was when you look at the other successful communities or ethnicities and groups that that live, especially here in America. When you look at the Asian community, when you look at the Jewish community, when you look at any other community, one thing that they have that we don't is organization. We lack organization. We are scattered, disenfranchised, spread apart. We don't have, I don't want to say, we don't adhere to any type of a hierarchy, any type of a stratification. And because we don't have that, we don't do that, we don't give those who have knowledge their lane and we stay in our lane, we have confusion. Our infrastructure, we lack infrastructure as Muslims here in America, specifically the Salafis. We lack infrastructure. And I've said that in other lectures and other videos that I've made. We lack infrastructure. We lack schools to send our children with qualified teachers, not just brothers who have an ESL certification from offline, if anything, or brothers who are just, alhamdulillah, they volunteer their time, or sisters that volunteer their time. We need qualified teachers. We need qualified professors. We need qualified any and everything for a community to be vibrant and to be alive and to be successful and to move forward. What my call is this: those who have knowledge, come together. Come together. I would support some type of organizational or situation where we have a hierarchy, that we have leadership. I think part of the problem is we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, if you understand this analogy. We have lots of Indians, or lots of chiefs rather, not enough Indians. At some point, even if you look at the military, there's a hierarchy. Everyone is not a general. Everyone's not the president. You have those who are beneath that follow their direction, follow their guidance, and do their job, all for the purpose of pushing the whole forward. I would definitely support some of those students of knowledge and those imams and some of these scholars that we have here in America, regardless of whether you believe they're a scholar or not. Not important. Really, it's not important. But for the group that I'm a part of, and it's, when I say group, it's not a hizb, it's a WhatsApp group. So let's not get that twisted. It's not a sect. It's a WhatsApp group. So when I refer to the group that I'm a part of, I mean the WhatsApp group that consists of, Muslim men who are trying to move forward and want the Ummah to be in a better situation. This is what I mean by group that I'm a part of. And I know that I have to specify that because there'll be somebody out there that'll say, oh, it's a hizb. It's not. It's just a group of brothers who want better for the Ummah and who are willing to put in the work with their specialty. That's all it is. But I would like for not only the brothers in the group, but for the other Muslims who have knowledge to take more of a leadership role as a collective. If that is done, then those who are under can support. Those of us who have YouTube channels, we can refer people to their lectures, refer people to their talks. If these brothers are, and they are, the ones that I know, are upon the Quran and the Sunnah, and they have connection to the ulama overseas in various countries, the information doesn't stop with them, they refer back to those older than them, then I think these brothers are good and qualified to take a leadership position. And I think they should be supported. I don't want to name drop, so I'm not going to. There's no need at this point. But we have qualified brothers here in America alone. We're not even looking overseas. We have qualified brothers here that can do that. That can help to get us to a better situation, economically, educationally, and in every other aspect of our reality in America. We have to have organization at some point, because again, everybody can't be a chief. Some people have to be the foot soldiers. Some people have to be the academics. Some people have to be the ones who swing the hammer and build the edifices. This is what we need. And because of our lack of knowledge, many times, especially in Islamic issues, we have to digress to those who have knowledge, those who have traversed the path of talib al-ilm, and who have sought knowledge, and who have gone out and sat at the feet of the scholars and been cultivated. These are the people that we need to turn to in reference to what we build our communities and our societies upon. We can't build it upon anything other than Quran and Sunnah. How can you build it upon that which you don't know? So you have to digress to people who do know. Pass the scepter. Humble ourselves. Sit at the feet. Listen, learn. Learn to be quiet. Everything that can be said doesn't necessarily need to be said. Everything that can be said necessarily should be said. Well, how do we know what we should and what we shouldn't say? We look to our elders. We see how they're moving. It should be a collab, though, between the elders and the youth. Because the youth have that vigor, the youth have that fire that maybe the elders may not. But at the same time, the elders or the youth have to have that cultivated discipline to stand back and listen and learn before they move, before they open their mouth. One brother in the group was talking about when you are cultivated at the feet of the scholars, you are humbled. In the circles of knowledge that this particular brother was in, he was referencing how as a grown man, you still have to raise your hand and ask permission to go relieve yourself in the bathroom. You don't just come and go as you please from the circles. You don't just stand up and begin to speak about issues and individuals and this, that, and the other. You sit down, you shut your mouth, and you sit and you listen, you learn, and you listen from those who know better than you. And that approach, that is passed on, that is taught. Many times we have broken chains, so that methodology is lost. I came to some information just this week that even the students who study in Medina don't necessarily have that cultivation that I'm talking about, that traditional cultivation. They go into a classroom, they sit, they listen, they learn, then the scholar hits the gate when the class is over. One of the biggest aspects of what is given from the scholar to the student is adab, akhlaq, the adab. In a classroom only setting, you may not necessarily get the full impact of adab. Of course, you'll get some because you're in the presence of the scholar, but you may not get the same level of adab that the person who's in the village at the feet of the scholar from Fajr to Isha. And he's in the presence of students stronger than himself on a daily basis, interacting, learning. This is something that is being lost. We are in an age of social media where everybody has a platform. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has the right to say whatever they want to say and hide behind a keyboard. Never show their face. You don't know who they are. And this is problematic. We need to learn that everything that can be said shouldn't necessarily be said. And if it's to be said, are you the right person to say it? Even though what you may be saying may be correct, are you going to word it correctly? Are you going to make it palatable for the masses? These are all important questions. So it's important for us to be connected to elders, be connected to those who have more life knowledge, as well as, more importantly, more Islamic knowledge than us. Learn to play the back. Learn to chill. Learn when to speak and when to be quiet. And I really benefited from the brother expressing that with us, sharing that with us, that, you know, he himself didn't go to a tradition or to a university type setting, but he sat in the village with various scholars in various countries. And you can see it in how he talks. You can see it in how he carries himself. And then when he gave us that information, then I began to look at other brothers who I knew who studied in the village versus brothers who didn't study at all, or brothers who studied in the university. And yes, there is a difference in the way that they move. You don't see them speaking on every topic every time. And at the point that I got that epiphany, that information hit me, I thought about all of this current situation with Omar Suleiman and Daniel Hakikachu and the Yaqeen situation and Dr. Tahir Wyatt and all of that. And then I noticed that some of the brothers who studied traditionally, I haven't heard a word from them. They haven't mentioned this at all. And this didn't hit me until just this week. I was like, man, that is true. They move different. Of course they could say something. Everybody can make a video. Here I am making a video. And I hope that there's benefit in this video. And I hope that what I say, you know, alhamdulillah, is beneficial to, you know, to people, and it's correct. I hope. I'm just sharing some of my view and how I digest all of this stuff. So, if you like this video, if this video is beneficial, please share it. This is the purpose, is to hopefully bring maybe some balance or different perspective to some of these issues. So if you like the video and you find it to be beneficial, please share it. And also subscribe to the page. Please comment. I do respond to most comments. And I look forward to hearing from everybody. Barakallahu feekum, jazakum Allahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.